right, hello to all of my honors geometry students and happy Valentine's Day. Sorry I could not be with you today, but I did have a meeting to attend. I'll be back with you tomorrow. Today we are going to be looking at how to determine the pattern of special right triangles and apply them to solve problems. We're going to start with our activator, check our homework, and then you're going to be looking through this video and doing some practice along with me, and you may have some time to start your homework. Your homework is to finish the practice, which is on the worksheet that you will be getting after we check the homework. So go ahead and work on your activator. You're going to be finding the missing length in each of the triangles. Give your answers exactly, which means no decimals. You have two triangles to find the missing sides of, and you're going to want to use the Pythagorean theorem that we talked about on Friday. So go ahead and pause the video for a couple of minutes to complete this task. Alright, so for the first triangle, you're going to want to plug in a squared plus 9 squared equals 15 squared, and then subtract 9 squared from both sides to get 44, take the square root, and so a is 12. For the second triangle, you're going to plug in 2 squared plus 3 root 5 squared, and you're going to get c is equal to c squared. Simplify, 2 squared is 4, 3 root 5 squared is 45 equals c squared. Add those together and take the square root of 49 to get that. You get c as 7. Let's go ahead now and check the homework. Your homework last night was to complete the 5.4 worksheet. Numbers 1 through 5 are listed both in decimal form and in radical form. Good job to those of you who got the radical form. 1 and 2 weren't too bad. However, 3 and 4 were a little bit more complex because you had fractions to work with. So if you got those, great job. If not, here are some the decimal equivalents for those. Again, number 5, you would get about 10.102, but it is not an exact answer. 6 through 9, you'll see listed there. 6 through 9 is using those Pythagorean inequalities we talked about on Friday. And 10 through 13, again, there's some decimals here. These are the radical forms that you should have left your answers in. 14 was a bit of a challenge problem, but again, able to be solved with what we talked about on Friday. You want to go ahead and pause this for a minute or two in order to check your work from the weekend. Go ahead and do that now. Alright, let's go ahead and move on. Alright, so today we're going to be looking at special right triangles, and we're going to be learning about the relationship between the sides in two special right triangles. If you have not gotten the worksheet yet, if the sub could go ahead and hand that worksheet out for me, I would appreciate that. The 30, 60, 90 right triangle and a 45, 45, 90 degree right triangle. And we're going to first try and discover this pattern. So in all of the triangles, numbers 1 through 4, you are going to solve for the missing sides using the Pythagorean theorem. So just like we did for warm-up, I'd like you to go ahead and pause the video for about 5 or 6 minutes, and I will let you go ahead, and if you would like to pinwheel into your groups and try these problems as a group, you can go ahead and do that now. Again, pause the video if you haven't already done so. Alright, hopefully you've had enough time to work in your groups to solve these problems. For number 1, you're going to do 2 squared and 2 squared to get 8, square root of 8. Again, simplifying that into root 4 times root 2 would give you the answer 2 root 2. Number 2, doing the same process would give you the answer 5 root 2. For number 3, 4 squared plus 4 root 3 squared is equal to c squared. 4 times root 3 times 4 times 3 is 48, so 16 plus 48 is 64. Taking the square root of both sides would give you that c was 8. And finally, for the last problem, you will see that you have 3 squared plus 3 root 3 squared equals c squared. 3 squared is 9, 3 root 3 squared is 27. Take the square root of both sides, so c is 6. So I want you to take just a minute, and I want you to look at these problems. What relationships do you see with numbers 1 and 2? You might want to look at the numbers. Your answer is 2 root 2, so this side is 2 root 2. Okay, so here you get 2 root 2. Here you get 5 root 2. You might notice that it's the same number, all three, but the hypotenuse is multiplied by, that's right, root 2. Let's look at this one. Here you get C is 8, and here C is 6. So, it looks like if I have this side and double it, I get that. Look at this, 3, double it, I get 6. Here, if I multiply by root 3, multiply by root 3. If I went the other way, I'd have to divide by root 3. If I went from this way, I'd have to take the hypotenuse and divide by 2. So let's take a look at what this would look like. Go ahead and turn your paper over. And basically, I have that in the special right triangle in a 45, 45, 90, the two legs always have equal lengths. The hypotenuse is always times root 2, what we just talked about. In a 30, 60, 90 triangle, the hypotenuse is always 2 times the length of the side opposite, and the side opposite the 60 degree angle is always root 3 times the length of the side opposite the 30 degree angle. So looking at what that looks like in a diagram, if I have two sides, x and x, I know that my hypotenuse is x times square root of 2. And then for this is called my smaller leg, this one here, because it's my smallest leg because it's opposite of the 30 degree angle. Okay? So my smaller leg, if I multiply it by 2, I get the hypotenuse, and if I multiply it by root 3, I get the longer leg, which is opposite the 60 degree angle. Okay, so if you need to pause it for a minute or two to finish summarizing this on your own notes, go ahead and do that. And now we're going to move on to looking at some in-class examples. I'm going to give you about 10 minutes now, so sub, if you could please go ahead and pause this video for about 10 minutes. I'd like you to try and work through these triangles in order to try and get the missing sides in the table. So for number 1, for example, if J is 3, again this is a 45, 45, 90 triangle. If J is 3, that means K is also 3, and H is 3 times root 2. So you're working down the columns of each of the tables. Each of the columns is a different triangle. So go ahead and pause the video for 8 to 10 minutes, depending on how much time you have left at this point, in order to complete this in-class practice. Alright, so for the first triangle, just like we said before, J and K are the same, so 3 root 2 is your answer. For number 2, half and half, so you take half times root 2 is root 2 over 2. In this example of root 2, again, root 2, so if you multiply root 2 by root 2, you get 2. Here, if you know the hypotenuse is 8, you have to divide by root 2, because you're working the opposite direction, which gives you 4 root 2 and 4 root 2. Same thing here, root 6 divided by root 2 is, root 3, and then, again, side J is the same. For the bottom, the 30, 60, 90 triangle, again, the relationship, if I have 5, I know that Q then is 5 times root 3, and if I take 5 and double it, I will get the hypotenuse of 10. For the next triangle, number 7, if I have 3 root 3, I divide by root 3 to get the smaller side, which is 3, and if I double that, I get 6. For letter R, if I have the hypotenuse is 20, I take half of that to get the smaller side, which is 10. And I think I just realized, I have these in the wrong place. Let me go ahead and fix that for you. I want to divide the hypotenuse by 2 to get the smaller side, so that should be here. And then I take that 10 and I multiply it by root 3, so I get 10 root 3 for my larger side. Same thing here, I'm going to take P, which is 2 root 3, and I'm going to double that to get my hypotenuse, which is 4 root 3. And then I'm going to take the smaller side and multiply it by root 3, which is actually 2 times 3, which is 6. For the last one, I'm going to take 6 root 6, which is my hypotenuse, divided by 2 to get 3 root 6, and then multiply that by root 3 to get my larger side, and simplify to get 9 root 2. If you need to rewind this a couple of times and replay this for the class, that's fine. Those of you who understand how I got all these values, you can move on. This video is also going to be posted on Edline, so if you need to access it for homework and rewatch it, you are welcome to do so. So for your homework tonight, it is in your textbook, page 336, numbers 10 through 21, or you can just do it right here on the worksheet that was given to you. Other than that, have a great evening, and I will see you tomorrow.